You're listening to the Meneghini Mixdown. The Meneghini Mixdown. The Meneghini Mixdown. Only on 91.3 WHJE. Good morning, Carmel. You're listening to 91.3 WHJE. It is that time of the week, that time of this fine Tuesday morning. It's 6:30 a.m. on the dot. You're listening to the Meneghini Mixdown with your host, Ethan Meneghini, of course, running down the best in EDM content, the best in EDM around Carmel and on 91.3 WHJE. How's everybody's morning? We're doing great this morning. We're hyped up. We're energetic way early in the wee hours of the morning. Today, we're interviewing a special guest, a good friend of mine. We're going to have that after the first intro track here. We're going to be talking about Rez's remix of Divinity by Porter Robinson. I think this one is a really good blend of my usual deeper outtake on a lot of the songs that I play on this show, and I think it blends quite well into the music that we're going to be playing, requested by our special guest. So, of course, first up here is Divinity, Rez remix by Porter Robinson. You're listening to the Meneghini Mixdown. The Meneghini Mixdown. The Meneghini Mixdown. Only on 91.3 WHJE. That was Divinity by Porter Robinson, remixed by Rez, here on the Meneghini Mixdown, 91.3 WHJE. How's everybody doing? Again, like I said, this is the Meneghini Mixdown. My name is Ethan Meneghini. your host for this morning, your musical entertainment for this morning here on Carmel's Best Station. Today, I have a great friend of mine with me named Charles Schuster, who I'm interviewing today. He's a producer and DJ here in Carmel, just like me. I think it'd be somebody great to interview. So, Charles, how are you doing this morning?
You know, I'm doing pretty good, Ethan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I know I pulled you out here just really, really early.
It's early.
It is early. Yeah, it's something you get used to every Tuesday. So I think it'll be good for you to get a taste of what it's like here in the studio every week, right?
I'm really excited.
For
sure. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yep, I'm just thrilled to have you on the show here this morning. Just a local comrade in the EDM industry out here in Carmel. That's something we're gonna be talking about too. Just everybody that's out here in Carmel. But I mean, just to start off, how are you doing? How's everything going?
No, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing good. Besides it being 6:30 and this being when I normally roll out of bed, we're doing pretty good.
Yep,
we're doing good.
We're
doing great.
Right. That's how it normally is.
We're
out
doing
here.
Fantastic.
Yep, it's an hour early on the jump. So, first question, just to jump into the musical questions. Give us a quick description of who you are. Just what do you do out here?
Well, senior at Carmel this year. Obviously, I've got a part-time job like any other kid.
Yep.
And then, on the side, I do a bunch of mixing, and then I'm finally starting to get back into actual music production.
That's fantastic. So, you told me, your alias is Schuster. That's kind of what you're going by here
Yep.
in that way. Who is Schuster?
I originally went by another one, but it was more of a just getting started kind of thing.
Right.
Pick something and go with it.
Right, I've had that too.
But it's actually just my last name, and it's one of those things where over the years I've kind of started to actually really like my last name.
Right.
And why not go with it?
Right. I mean, hey, that's my live show name, right?
I'll go ahead and use it, yeah.
Right.
It's a brand that I want to start building. It's not more of a completely another person. It's still part of me.
Right.
And just keep building it up, keep it close, and keep it attached.
Yep. So is that the way you see it? I mean, do you see him as some sort of alter ego, or do you see him as like an extension of your day-to-day self? Because that's the way I kind of look at, my own alias is I see him as like an alter ego or somebody different. Do you see it that way?
No, I would actually say mine's more of a day-to-day. Again, with my alias being so closely tied to me, it's a brand that I want to build.
Right.
It's something that I want to be super involved in down the road.
Right, exactly. Do you think that's going to be like a career path for you?
Oh, I hope so. I'm working for it.
For sure. We can talk about that later. All of the nitty gritty in terms of career paths and what everybody's doing after high school. So you're doing both DJ and production. Mm-hmm. Do you emphasize one or the other? I know you just said that you're getting back into production. Do you kind of like one more than the other? Practice that more?
Right now, I'm doing a bit more mixing. I lost a good bit of production skill. I kind of dropped off for about a year and a half.
Right.
And I'm having to bring that back. So right now I'm focused more on the mixing, but I'm getting back into the production. And with the Producers Club that we have here at Carmel, I think that's going to help not only me, but it's going to help a lot of other people here at the school get out and, get into the mixing.
That's for sure. Music Producers Club is great. I think I've mentioned that on the show a couple of times that I'm a part of that, and for sure Charles is part of that. Did you start the Music Producers Club? Because I know it was you and Jawan.
It was me and Jawan. We actually talked about it last year during one of our classes, and we wanted to start it last year, and we ended up talking to the teacher that hosts it, and he's like, "Yeah, come talk to me next year." And so we went and talked to him next year, and here we are.
Yep, everybody's
3-4 meetings in, and we're going strong.
Everybody's balling out on the Music Producers Club. I totally enjoy going out and hanging out with all those guys after school. That is a great experience.
Yeah.
On top of having a live show Thursday, so I got to alternate. I got to figure out which is more important here on this day. Do you think Music Producers Club? Speaking about that, do you think it is like, in a way, it's helping you learn about a lot of production stuff or mixing stuff, one or the other? Do you think it's helping you a lot there?
More production, mixing stuff. Personally, is a bit easier to learn solo,
right?
Because most of that comes down to what you hear.
Yeah.
But no, learning what different people make and the different plugins that they use and the different techniques that they use to create certain sounds.
Yeah.
It's definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, giving you a different perspective. I totally see that.
additionally, speaking on, there's different perspectives from different people. There's obviously different producers in the club. Are there any different genres that you're kind of hearing now that are kind of, what you're specializing in? Or actually, before I ask that question, before we split into different things, is there a genre that you really specialize in? I know, obviously, in the background that there is one, but, is there something that you kind of specialize over other genres?
I really want to start producing some electro house stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm also quite into big room scene.
Yep.
It's a bit more mainstream, and I get that, but I really enjoy, especially for electro house, the drum patterns and bass lines.
Yeah,
that
for
go
sure.
into a lot of them.
Yeah, and I mean that's if that's something you're passionate about, if that's something you enjoy, I mean that's the way to go. You're gonna get the best sound out of that. Personally, is the way I see it. So, is there anything like I was going to ask? In Music Producers Club, there's tons of different perspectives. There's lots of different people that we're talking to, different perspectives that you can see. Are there any other subgenres that you're kind of being exposed to, or different stuff within EDM that you think you'd want to try out or experiment with?
I know Ben. You guys know him, also known as Riptile. He does a lot of the progressive house.
Yeah.
Which I think is real cool, and his stuff sounds fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
But also dived into the rap genre and the trap.
Oh yeah.
Getting some of that the harder stuff.
Oh yeah.
In there.
For sure. That's that everybody enjoys that really aggressive rap and stuff. We've got hype talk for that here on the station. A lot of good stuff coming from that. So, of course, we talked about those subgenres, Is it a common theme? I guess a lot of people, especially with me, that's something I see in my own music and a lot of other music. It's typically music has expression or a story behind it, and even in EDM, without there being too many lyrics in a lot of cases, I feel like you can still, portray an emotion or get an expression out, get your opinions out through simply melody and arrangement. Do you think that's true with your music?
Kind of hard to answer right now.
For sure, yeah.
I'm working on a track right now that hopefully I'll get out in the next couple weeks if I can find the time for it.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily say for this one specifically there's an emotional attachment. There's another one that I have in the back of my head that definitely has more of an emotional attachment to it.
Right.
But that one's a lot more melodic and a lot more flowy.
Right.
The one that I'm working on is more along those big room electro house, just hard beats.
Yeah, right. So you think there's avenues that you can take that lead it to be more expressive.
There definitely are, yeah.
Okay, for sure. So that for people that are kind of not necessarily super into how music is made, you just listen to the music. That's fantastic, of course, as always. But there's a difference between mixing and production. Production is simply making the tracks, comprising everything, doing the nitty gritty, the engineering and stuff like that, putting the sounds together. And then mixing is let me ask you, Charles, how would you describe mixing?
Specifically in the EDM scene, mixing can be a multitude of different things.
Right.
Specifically, what I do is more along the lines of actual DJing. So using a controller and then using the mixer that's built into that to EQ into different tracks. Mixing can also be, the guy sitting in the back making sure that the speakers don't blow out.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you got a whole different number of mixers. The managers at the back that are managing the concert speakers.
Yeah.
So you got people like you and me, and then et cetera, a whole lot of stuff there.
Yep.
So do you think you have more experience in mixing over production? I mean, you said that you've kind of, lost that touch in production, I guess, per se. Do you think that mixing is what you're more passionate about in that regard?
Right now, yeah, definitely.
Okay. I think that's awesome.
It's a lot easier for me to go home and just do. I'm putting out 45-minute mixes every week.
Right, yeah.
Just something to start promoting myself, something to start showing off those skills. But yeah, it's just fun. I just try and have the most fun with it. Not try anything too ridiculous.
Right, yeah.
Don't, try something that I know I can't do. And if I do try that, do it on the side before I go and record it.
Make sure people are not thinking this is crazy before you do it. Right. I appreciate that one too. I do that quite a bit as well.
I just try and have fun with it. It's fun. It's a hobby.
Exactly. That's exactly the way I see it too. So, this is kind of the first section that we had of the interview. I'm going to, I asked you to, send me a couple of songs that I want you to play here today. First one I have up is a song that I've been listening to for a while as well. I've known this song since it was released. This is Split, Only You by Tiesto and the Chainsmokers. Charles, why did you pick this song?
Oh, I love this song. This is this is one of the first songs that got me really into this and thinking of doing this as more of a career.
Right.
I love the melody of it. I love the bass patterns. I love the drum patterns. It gets you moving.
Right. I totally agree with that.
Something that I think almost everyone knows. It's such a good song.
Right, it is. And it is really emphatic. You know, I heard this song, way before the Chainsmokers were doing anything crazy with, their, normal pop music, I think. Yeah. So it was when they were still dabbling in the house, and then they kind of transitioned to it after. Yeah. So you can hear elements of not just house in here. So I think that's a really cool stuff there. But, of course, this is Split, Only You by Tiesto and the Chainsmokers here on the Meneghini Mixdown. right, that was Split Only You by Tiesto and the Chainsmokers here on 91.3 WHJE, the Meneghini Mixdown. Today I'm here with Charles Schuster, who I'm interviewing, a friend of mine, a DJ and producer here in the Carmel EDM electronic music scene. Charles, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yep, the interview's progressing.
It's going real good.
Just shy of halfway through, I guess, maybe a little bit more than shy of halfway through, but we're cranking through the questions.
Yes, we are.
Yep, we talked about a lot of your experience in both production and DJing. I think we're going to touch on those more in depth here in a second, but just to the transition into more of that DJing aspect. What does your DJing currently entail? What do you do? Do you go out and play? Do you go out and DJ sometimes like fundraisers or little parties around to make money, or do you do a lot of just mixing on your own time?
A lot of it's just mixing on my own time, just making sure that I've got skills down pat. I know we're both looking at a show coming up. End of November?
Yep, sometime within there, we're working on that show there. Sometime in the mix, of course, getting those in. I think that's something that I'm dabbling in as well, is live performances.
Yeah.
So do you think that's something that you'd want to be doing as well here in the near future or the future eventually?
No, yeah, it's definitely something that I want to look into. It'd be real nice to start doing like a couple little club shows here and there. Obviously, Indiana as a whole really isn't a huge place for that.
Right,
but
right.
It's more of a, find what I can. The thing that makes it real hard is I'm 17.
Yeah.
I can't get into any clubs regardless anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, going up there and going, hey, can I play for an hour or two?
Let me do this.
I'm 17.
Right, yeah. That's a problem we both share.
It makes it hard, but it's something that, right now I'm just doing it on my own. As I said earlier, I've got those weekly mixes coming out.
Right.
Starting to promote myself a little bit more. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that I'm working on as well. Those live performances are the coolest thing. Last Rock of Summer is something that we had last year, or I guess this year now. We had it at the beginning of the school year. But stuff like that is really cool to be involved in. But, do you wish to expand on this DJing stuff? Like, do you think it's not going to take you down an avenue of, just a career? Do you think you're just going to do it as a hobby? Where do you think that's going?
I'm working for it to be a career. It's definitely not an easy career to get into.
Oh, for sure.
There's a crap ton of competition in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something where if you put in the effort and you put in the hours, it's definitely possible.
Yep, it'll show in your work. That's for sure. And what music? We played at Tiesto and Chainsmokers Split. That's an iconic song. We both talked about that. That's a song we both really, really enjoy. Even though I'm not as into the progressive house, the house music there, that's one that I still really, really enjoy from 2015. Is that house style? Is that what you're focusing on the most here in terms of your mixes and your production?
No, yeah, it definitely is. At least it's going to be more focused around the production side. With mixing, I like to throw a little bit of everything in. I've got a 600 song collection, and every week I like to throw in a little bit of everything because I personally like a little bit of everything.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I like being able to jump from like 128 BPM to 150.
Yeah, the switch. Right.
It's fun to do.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
It's if it's fun to do, then it's fun to listen to.
That's exactly right. If you're hearing it, you're going crazy. Then that's what's making it enjoyable, right?
Yep.
All in the moment there. So as of right now, do you aspire to DJ? Like I said, there's a difference between those fundraising events and those big concert venue type things that are a lot harder for us to get into because we're younger.
Yeah.
The scene is a lot smaller here in Carmel, which we will talk about eventually. Is that how the scene is smaller here in Carmel? Do you think those you have an aspiration to get into those just those like smaller events, like gigs, not playing a bunch of house, but actually dabbling in like local events and making some money from it?
I should honestly probably should. I know I'm a bit late to the party, which is definitely making things a little bit difficult. But hopefully next year, depending on wherever I go to college, I can get a couple things like that. Something on the side to again grow my name, grow the brand.
You can still grow a name out. Sorry for cutting off there, but you can still grow a name out even with just having local events. And stuff.
Yeah. Dabbling in everything's gonna help.
Right. Anything helps in that regard. So we have another track coming up here. This is "Get Down" by Retrovision. Why'd you pick this one?
This is one that came out 1 summer, 2 summers ago. I love the intro of the song. It's a super different. It's not a super hardcore anything. It's something fun. It's something to get people moving. It's a real good opener in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. I listened to this. I listened to this yesterday to prep. That's exactly right. This is Retrovision. Get Down on the Meneghini Mixdown.
3, 2, 1.
That was Get Down by Retrovision here on 91.3 WHJE and the Meneghini Mixdown. A really, really cool, emphatic track. That intro, just with that instrumental sample almost, and then you have just the big progressive house drop that is iconic to who I'm interviewing right now, Charles Schuster. How are you doing, man?
Doing good.
This is the third kind of section. We had that second song break. That song is really, really cool. You know, those house vibes. I mean, you know, what's your take on that one? Why do you like it so much?
Oh, I love it. Again, the intro, as I said earlier, it's something that gets it going. It doesn't just jump into anything super hard. It gets people moving, gets people going. All right, this is what's coming up
For sure.
It's a fun party track.
Oh yeah.
It's got that, you know, just kind of let loose vibe to it.
Yeah.
I love the snappy, iconic EDM melody in the middle.
That future house style stuff. Yep. Some great stuff coming from Retrovision there, and Musical Freedom. Do you listen to a lot of like record label based artists? Like, do you kind of, you know, that one was released to Musical Freedom, which I believe was started by Tiesto.
Yes.
I know that was a big record label after he started that a while back. But you know, do you listen to like specific artists, or do you kind of dabble in like just going down like a SoundCloud deep dive or like a Spotify deep dive and like listen to record label stuff?
I used to listen strictly to artist stuff. I would have a little thing where I listen to, you know, a bunch of Tiesto or like a bunch of Retrovision, you know, a bunch of loopers, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've started to really dig into what else is coming out on some of these bigger record labels.
Yep.
Stuff that doesn't get as much attention.
Yeah.
Because if you dig down, some of that stuff sounds fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that needs to be getting a bit more attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, just every now and then doing a nice little seeing what's out there is always real fun.
Yeah, because there's a ton of undiscovered talent, and I think that's what these like smaller record labels are doing a good job of. You know, you have like Musical Freedom that was started a lot longer ago, but you'll have big artists like Stampede Records, which was started by Martin Garrix. You know, that one just kind of branched off, and there's record label Wolf, and you have all that stuff. You know, just these artists branching down and kind of starting like a little subculture.
Yeah.
So a lot of cool stuff coming from those areas. So let's kind of switch over to the production aspects more or less,
all right.
or just kind of being involved in music in Carmel, this kind of area. You know, How do you feel about being involved in electronic music in Carmel?
Not gonna lie, it's rough.
Yeah.
Carmel itself isn't a huge EDM scene.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
we know.
when people think of electronic dance music, Indiana isn't necessarily the first place that comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, yeah, it makes it hard, but it's a lot of fun. It's still fun to, you know, find people like you and find all the guys that we have in the club.
Yeah.
And just, you know, get together and, you know, jam out.
Yeah, I mean, there totally is a culture here, as we've seen by, you know, Music Producer Club and all that sort of thing, you know, going to concerts. Like, I'll go to, like, you know, the EDM guys that come to Indiana,
Yeah.
like, for some odd reason they come here. I go to those shows, and it
Yeah.
shows that there's a lot of that subculture here. But,
Yeah.
you know, you say it's harder. Do you say it's difficult for you? I mean, a lot of us here don't really have that big of a following. Do you think it's a lot harder to get out when, you know, no venues are around here are just kind of like, well, it's not EDM, you know, why would I have EDM out here? Do you think it's pretty difficult?
No, I think it is. And it's not necessarily that there's no scene here, because there is. It's just, it's
Yeah.
hidden.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's kind of that whole when EDM first became a thing, you know, back in Europe bajillion years ago.
Right.
It was underground.
Yeah.
You know, if you knew it and you liked it, you knew it and you liked it.
Yep.
That was about it, though.
Yep.
Everything was very hidden.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think give it a little bit, and I think eventually it'll start to sprout a little bit more.
For sure, yeah. I mean, there's big cities like, you know, Los Angeles, Miami. I mean,
Yeah.
I was in Miami and, you know, down in Florida for a while, probably a couple months ago, I think for spring break or something like that. But, you know, going down there's like the Spinnin' Records Hotel, and then
Yeah.
there's like all these big places with poster boards everywhere, and the
No,
taxis
yeah.
have like ads on them, you know, for Tiesto show, whatever. So there is quite a stark contrast between the two.
No, yeah, there definitely is.
But a big trend in a lot of, you know, producers that are trying to break out, they move to these cities where EDM is really, really big. Out here, it could be considered like easier for us, I think, in a way, because, you know, there's people that are like us. I mean, we're the only guys out here doing this. Like, there's such a small number that it's easy for us to be, you know, seen as, you know, kind of unique in that instance.
Right.
Do you think it would be harder for you to kind of move out to a new area and kind of dive into the scene from like the actual location of it?
It'll be hard, but it'll be hard in a different area.
Yeah,
Because
right.
again, when we're here, there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing here is, you know, getting your name out, getting to play those shows.
Right.
But yeah, moving to somewhere like Miami, there's a ton of competition.
Right. But then
you got to compete
it's
with
also
you got to compete with every single person.
right.
But no, yeah, but then you can get those shows. You can get your name out there. You can. It's hard in different aspects.
In different ways.
Yeah.
You think it's harder in one way, and then you move to a different place, and it's harder on the other.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a path for you? You know, going if you're planning on going to college or not going to college. You know, do you think there's an you know, a path that you have here in your life to kind of move out to a new place and start fresh in terms of music?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking at a couple schools in Florida actually. Not super close to Miami specifically, but still in that general area. You know, to help build my
Right.
brand, get those shows.
Yeah.
You know, find basically anything I can.
Right.
I know Chicago is also a real
Yes.
good place for that.
Yep.
So even if I end up, because I'm looking at a couple schools around here, so even if I end up going down for a weekend or something and doing a show or two,
Yeah.
isn't that big of a deal.
Right.
It's a 2.5 hour drive.
Not even, yeah, depending on where you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is definitely true. Chicago is my city, born and raised for 2 years. So, but was born there. That Chicago vibe, I definitely love a lot of that stuff. You know, I always know going into Chicago, I'm just listening to music, and I'm like, there's a lot of songs here that they just feel right when I'm listening to them in Chicago. So, a lot of EDM scenes here, close to home. Speaking of university, do you actually plan on going to a college?
Yeah, I hope to. Most of it's just to not only I want to learn a bit more of actual production skills, but the other
Right.
bit is more of how to be able to use that to sustain myself.
Right.
Because essentially I'll be running my own business.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
be in charge of myself. And learning how to do that along with navigating the music industry
Right.
is definitely a skill that I would like to have.
Yeah.
And to be able to know how to do that going into it, I think is really important.
Right. And is that like Speaking on that, that's just, there's a business aspect, or there's like an actual going in and learning music aspect. There's a tons of different paths you can take. Do you think you're going to be focusing on one or the other, going into business, or maybe like me, I'm thinking about going into like a computer science major, is that, do you think you have a different interest that you like more that's kind of going to be there in the background, or are you just focusing on business and music?
I think music's always going to be there. I think if I don't end up doing exactly what I want to, I'll still end up doing something in the music scene.
For sure.
I love the community. I love the people. It's fantastic.
Yep.
But no, yeah, definitely having that business bit is going to help.
Oh yeah.
To be able to learn and understand the music industry, the craziness that it is.
the craziness that it is indeed.
And then deal with all the legalities and such.
Oh yeah. The just getting your name out there. Do you think there's legality behind, being able to perform in big club venues and stuff like that? Speaking on that, like what's your take on, if you're under 18 performing in club stuff like that? I guess it's also not really like that unseen, because Martin Garrix was huge when he was 16. He made Animals when he was 16, coming on 17.
Yeah, he started. Well, he was like 14.
Yeah.
when he did his first club show.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. I think if you're really out there, they'll let you in because you're gonna bring in a lot of money for the club.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, some of it's more built on how big are you as a performer. But I don't think it would be too bad to try and find those little clubs that kind of take anyone.
Yeah.
And because technically you're not in the club itself.
Yeah. Technically. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not at the bar, you're not anywhere like that. You are, by yourself in front of a bunch of other people. So I think at that point it's kind of up to the club.
Right. Yeah, and I think in terms of that professionalism, that professionalism side, speaking on, it's just you behind the decks, and like that's it. You're there to you're not there to be clubbing. You're there to be.
You're there to play a show. You're there to make some people dance, and then you go home, go to bed, wake up, do the whole thing again.
Yep, you're there to start the clubbing, not be in the clubbing per se. Next up, another track, we have Ratata by TV Noise. What's your take on this one? Why do you like this one?
Drum patterns. This is one of the songs that got me real into the electro house. The way that the drums are built is fantastic.
Yeah.
The drums are almost the melody of the song.
The melody of the song, right.
This song does not have a lot of, higher end melodic bits.
Right.
It's a lot of sub with a lot of drums. And
sure.
It's such a good song.
Yep, I totally agree. I was listening to this one in my prep yesterday for this show. I was like, wow, this one's actually kind of unique. And speaking about Stampede, like I mentioned earlier, this is released to Stampede Records, started by Martin Garrix. So another one of those coming out of the mud. This is Ratata by TV Noise here on the Meneghini Mixdown.
Skin and we no goddamn grin. Put your hands up, up. We trailblazing. When you hear the Raga twins, we firing. Rampant we no skin and we no goddamn grin. Put your hands up. We trailblazing. When you hear the Raga twins,
That was Rat-da-da, Rat-da-da-da-da-da-da by TV Noise there out on Stampede Records way back in 2019. We're in 2019, way back in February 1st of 2019. I'm here interviewing Charles Schuster, a great friend of mine, a comrade in the EDM industry out here pioneering in the small EDM town of Carmel, the section of EDM that is Carmel. How are you doing today, Charles, for those viewers that haven't tuned in so far?
Doing good, doing good.
Fantastic. Rat-ta-ta by TV Noise. You know, you talked about this before, but what makes this one so emphatic? What makes this one great to you?
It's different.
For sure.
It's
true.
super unique. It's super different. Yeah, it's got that bit of reggae to it.
Oh yeah,
which is super
vocals.
nice. But yeah, it doesn't have like that super big EDM melody to it. It's more based off of those drums and the bass line. And it's more of a feel track.
Oh yeah.
You know, you don't necessarily hear all the bits of it, but you definitely feel them.
Totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. In your music, speaking on that, you know, in production that you'd want to dabble in, do you think you'd want to like, you know, kind of emphasize one instrument or one thing more than the other? Would you want to focus on, you know, drums, or would you want to focus on like melody? Is there something that you think would have emphasis, or is it kind of on a track by track basis?
I would say I think it depends on what I'm going for. I love to be able to build those drum patterns,
right?
Because yeah, it's so much fun to listen to. It's so much fun to mess around with.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, doing that with a little bit of more melodic stuff, with a bit more feeling behind it. You know, yeah, it's all going to be track by track.
Oh, for sure. The track by track basis is the nicest thing too. But on top of that, you know, speaking on themes. A lot of artists out here, even not necessarily in, you know, progressive house. I mean, a lot of people, when they're just building a brand name, they kind of have a general theme. Do you think you have a theme to your music or what you want to be producing? I mean, this could even apply to your, you know, your mixes. Like, is there a general theme to what you're putting out?
Not yet. I don't think I've quite gotten that solid yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, I wanna work more in that, you know, the big room and then different subgenres of house.
Right.
I mean, again, yeah, it's definitely a lot more mainstream, but it's what I've been listening to, you know, since I started getting into it. I'm still listening to it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what I love. But then, yeah, then adding in little, you know, those emotional tracks with like big vocal. Aspects to them would also be a lot of fun. Yeah,
I mean, it's really important to have, you know, all aspects of music. I think it's doing a good job of showing people, you know, what we have to offer here in EDM. Do you think that's something that you kind of enjoy doing as well? Do you think it's a part of being out here in Carmel is kind of expanding the reach of the EDM culture, or just kind of, you know, showing people, hey, we have kinds of music here that you might like. It's not just bangers and bass.
Yeah.
Like there's more to it than that. Do you think that's something that you'd like to show from your music?
No, yeah, definitely. And it definitely helps that EDM doesn't get the super hardcore like rave stereotype.
Yeah.
Where it's, you know, super heavy, super violent, you know, that kind of thing. So it helps that EDM is now a bit more generalized to all genres.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot. That makes the scene itself a lot more appealing.
I totally agree. Yeah. And there are different aspects. I totally say, like, a lot of the stuff there's aspects of really, really aggressive stuff, and then there is really, really light stuff. So I think you know, it is on a track by track basis. But, you know, speaking on that brand building, you know, having a theme, kind of building a name for yourself, is that something that you want to focus on right now, or is that kind of later? Is that building a brand name, kind of focusing on a sound you have? Because I think that's a big trend in, you know, coming up as an EDM artist or a solo artist is, you know, that's one way that you get out as well, get your big break, is just being unique and finding a unique sound. Is there something there that you'd want to be doing, or is it just kind of experimenting until you find a sound that you've come across?
I'm more experimenting right now. I've got a little idea of where I want to go. But yeah, it's you know, it's going home, picking out a synth plugin, running through, you know, a couple presets, you know, messing with a couple of the other parameters within the plugin, and yeah, trying to find that one sound that I just fall in love with.
Right. I totally agree with that. I've found, I have different presets or something, and then I tweak it a little bit, and it's like, whoa, there's a whole different avenue I can take here. In terms of production, where do you think you're at in terms of production? Like, are you that doesn't sound good.
I did a lot more producing a couple years back under, my other alias. But those were definitely early day tracks, to say the least. But yeah, I'm starting to get back into it. I'm starting to put a lot more time into it, and focusing a lot more on specific areas of a track, than just let's just lay this out because it sounds cool and render and it's done. Yeah.
And, you talked about that other alias. I know a lot of times it's embarrassing because I have in my second alias right now, if there's more, but, I had a different name for a while under producing. Do you want to talk about that at all? That second alias or that first alias?
Sure. I don't even know where to start with this. This was 3 years ago now, I think.
Oh, wow.
I used IH as my name. I got a friend to draw a little face.
Yep.
And then I had IH as like the eyes of it.
Oh,
and he had like his tongue sticking out. I actually think it's pretty cool. I think if I find something like that again, I'd like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used a free DAW.
Yeah.
Called LMMS.
Yeah.
And actually, now that I look back on it, it did and does basically everything that like FL or Ableton do.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more complicated.
A lot more complicated, yeah.
It's not as easy as, right click create automation.
Yeah.
You have to like dive into like 30 different layers to be able to, make a filter on or off,
On or off, yeah, right. And for those people that don't know, DAWs or DAWs are just, big software components in producing music. That's where everything goes, all those tracks. Do you have a favorite right now, one that you're using in terms of those? Like what DAW you like a lot?
FL Studio is my big one.
Fruity Loops Studio.
Loops.
A lot of people get a lot of shade for FL sometimes, but like
yes,
it's only people that aren't in FL. I don't have any shade towards you guys because I know you got to do what you got to do. A lot of the other options are more expensive. Ableton is my choice.
Yeah.
Ableton Live. I know a lot of other people around here use that.
Yeah.
Ben uses that. Ben Middleton, as we said, shout out to him. But is there? And then we can talk about VSTs, virtual studio technology. I think I've mentioned this on the show a couple of times in the past. That's where synths are generated. Do you have favorites? Are there like go-to synthesizers that you want to use?
Right now, I haven't specifically bought any outside of what already comes with FL. So Citrus is in the FL system already, and it's got a ton of different things. And then going in there, finding a basic sound that I like, and then tweaking it.
Yep.
And being able to add a bunch of different parameters. Yep. Because it's especially when it comes to the sound engineering of that one, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's so much that you can do with it.
Yep. And I think that's true with like a lot of VSTs nowadays, and a lot of those synthesizers like Serum. That's kind of my go-to. Yeah. That like the avenues that you can take with these things, the amount of things you can do are crazy.
No, it's nuts. It's really cool.
Do you think that's something you're going to dive into? Sound design. That's something that I've been really into for the last good number of years in terms of my production lifetime. That's something like you've done like you've done DJing the most. I've emphasized production the most. Do you think that sound design is something you're going to dive deep into, or production is something you're going to dive deep into later?
No, yeah, definitely. Because I want to be able to not only, DJ and play out the shows, but make my own music.
For sure.
Do that, put a little bit of me into something else.
Right.
And again, it all just comes down to having fun with it.
For sure. I think you can have fun with a lot of those production aspects, just the big stuff going around. We're both in. I'm going to jump back to this Carmel Music Producers Club, this thing that we call Music Producers Club after school on Thursdays in E116. We just started that merch line too, that graphic design stuff. Do you think? Actually, I'm going to jump quick into that. Do you think that graphic design is something that you're going to focus on for building your brand? Because we were just talking about building a brand. That's one thing that I was thinking about. Are you going to kind of eventually, once you're past kind of a lot of the production stuff, are you going to focus on like maybe learning how to do graphic design to design your own stuff? Because a lot of artists do that in the industry.
Right.
Do you think that's something that you could go down, that path you could go down?
I don't know if I would want to specifically be doing a lot of it myself, because I'm not a super artsy person. But definitely being there like behind the scenes and like the help of the design of things, I would love, because again, it's a bit of me going into it. It's not just someone else sitting behind a computer doing edits in Photoshop.
Yep.
It's part of that, my ideas and what's in my head coming to life.
Yep.
I'm just personally, I can't get that onto a computer quite yet.
Yeah.
It'd probably be nice to have a bit of skill in that, at least to understand what's going on.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. I think that would provide a good perspective. There's so many people. Virtual Riot, one of my favorites in the industry right now, in hardcore dubstep and all those EDM genres. He does all of his own graphics, especially during shows.
Yeah.
Do you think that during live shows, during performances, you'd want to really have a big emphasis on the visuals that people are seeing, not just outside of that music stuff?
No, right, yeah. I think it depends, because I know people like Laidback Luke, he just goes out and he plays. He doesn't have a set show, so his graphics are just kind of there to add to the environment.
Right.
And then you have people like Martin Garrix, who this past weekend did a huge show in Amsterdam, and it was, it had this whole theme, and the graphics line up with everything, and everything is so, the show is quote unquote pre-planned.
Yeah.
It's not pre-recorded, but it's definitely pre-planned, so
Yeah.
that the music and the graphics line up. And I
Yeah.
think doing aspects of both of those would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely pros and cons to each of them.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. I mean, I've been dabbling in a lot of those live show graphics, that stuff that's going on, and just blending the audio visual scene. I think there's a lot of stuff there that's going on. Transitioning over to our final song break of the songs that you picked, the ones that I liked, the blend here. Loopers, Feel It. Do you like the Loopers a lot? Because I know that there were a couple of like Loopers songs in there that I think I saw in that list of songs you sent me. Are those?
Yeah.
And you've mentioned them on the show before. Are those guys somebody you really like?
No, yeah, they are. They're super unique. They really started popping up a couple of years ago. Again, under the Stamped Recordings. But yeah, their sound is also super unique. It's not super. I don't even know if I could put it into any specific subgenre.
Yeah.
That's more of that whole. It sounds like electronic music. It just sounds like electricity being manipulated into notes.
Yeah.
And then you had a drum and you had some bass, and there you go.
Yep. Is that what you think on Feel It? Is that why you picked this one?
No, yeah, I love this one. This one's
Alrighty.
great.
This is Feel It by Loopers here on the Meneghini Mixdown. That was Feel It by the Loopers here on 91.3 WHJE and the Meneghini Mixdown. I'm your host, Ethan Meneghini. Alongside me, I have Charles Schuster, a friend of mine that I interviewed today here on the show. Charles, how are you doing? We're closing out the show right now. How are you feeling?
No, yeah, I'm feeling really good. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you'll have me on again.
Yeah, I totally plan on it.
This was definitely a lot of fun.
We're going to try some really cool stuff here in the future with different people coming onto the show. Do you have any messages to say for our audience today, people that are listening?
Work hard. Honestly. If not to be all cliche and everything.
Cliche and motivational, yeah.
Yeah, put in if you want something, work for it. There's nothing saying that you can't do it.
For sure.
Nothing at all.
I totally agree. Charles, thank you so much for coming onto my show today.
No, yeah.
I totally loved having you on the show. We're gonna have a ton more people on, maybe you in the future, or multiple people we can have on. There's a ton of stuff I think that we can do here on the show, the Meneghini Mixdown. Thank you for coming on today. Everybody, thank you for tuning in as well. Everybody that's tuned in and listened to the show thus far. We had a great show today. Hopefully next week we'll be diving into some new releases that have come out in October. Probably do a Halloween episode because it's spooky season out here in the EDM world too, in the whole, or I guess just in the United States, because that's how things work. Of course, thank you everybody for listening. You can tune in every Tuesday, 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. here on Carmel's best station, The Edge, 91.3 WHJE. This has been the Meneghini Mixdown. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.